Mr. Prime Minister, welcome our condolences to the Israeli people, of course.
Thank you. It's been a very tough 2 days in Israel. The state of Israel is in mourning. The Israeli nation is in mourning with the 12 families of the Druze. The Druze is a small non-Jewish Arab sect that live fairly secluded in various areas around Israel. We are brothers and sisters. We fight together in the IDF. It's a wonderful community, and whoever attacks Majd al-Shams attacks the state of Israel.
The Jewish kids, as you said, playing soccer. I mean, can you imagine in the middle of a Saturday, they're out there playing soccer, and the missiles from Hezbollah hit? What is your message to the terrorists of Hezbollah?
First of all, these are my kids. Vinis Safdi, 11-year-old girl who was murdered in this terror attack. I view her as my daughter, and every Israeli, Jew and non-Jew alike, it's part of our nation. This is not only about Hezbollah. Iran is at the epicenter of an octopus of terror, sending its tentacles all across the Middle East, to Yemen with the Houthis, to Lebanon with the Hezbollah, to Gaza with the Hamas. And their modus operandi is to create terror anywhere they can, and specifically create a ring of fire around Israel. I think it's vital that we keep our eyes on the main strategic point, which is Iran. As Prime Minister, I had a policy of weakening Iran across many dimensions, and we need to continue doing that in hitting Iran. Iran needs to pay the price for all this terror, as well as Hezbollah. And I hope and believe that our government is going to do the right thing.
What type of actions do you think should be taken against Iran, against the mullahs in Tehran, who are financially, spiritually, and completely backing the terrorist groups that want to see Israel wiped off the map?
I think we need to set a clear goal, an American-Israeli goal of collapsing that terror regime. It's a corrupt regime, incompetent, and very radical, especially against its own people. And just as the United States of America led the way in the 80s with Ronald Reagan and his approach versus the USSR, the former Soviet Union, which ultimately led to the collapse of the Soviet Union, we need to do the same here to Iran, and we need to do it quicker. I'm not suggesting necessarily a bombing of Iran by America. There's many dimensions that is an option. Israel can act as well, but we need to collapse Iran's regime and free Iran from its horrible regime before they acquire a nuclear weapon.
Israel has acted, as you know, leveling an embassy, a building in Damascus, because there were Iranian officials and Hamas officials in there. They've struck a airfield radar post outside of Isfahan. In Iran, you talk about the U.S. and Ronald Reagan's policy of deterrence against the Soviet Union. Do you see a strong enough deterrence by the Biden administration? There are still sanctions on Iran, but many say not enough. They've let sanctions let go. They've been feeding them billions of dollars in their oil revenue and releasing Iranian frozen assets. What more can the U.S., should Washington do to put the stranglehold on Tehran?
There's a tremendous amount of action of ratcheting up primarily those sanctions and drying up the head of the octopus, so then they can't have the funds that they'll funnel to Hezbollah and to Hamas and to all their proxies. There's a lot more that America and Israel can do. I think I don't see a coherent joint strategy in place. This is something that needs to be put in place and acted upon as soon as possible. That's the only way to restore quiet and peace in the Middle East.
And finally, what is your hope for the Middle East? What is your hope for Tehran? Do you think democracy and freedom can finally be brought there and this can be brought to an end? Do you hope and see an end, the dismantling of Hamas, so you don't face that threat?
Absolutely. It's not only possible, it's necessary, and we're going to do it. But I also have one thing I want to say. You know, last night Hezbollah killed 12 little Druze boys and girls. And my question is, Why is everyone silent? Where are all those human rights activists who knew how to walk on the streets of New York and chant Palestine will be free, etc., and now they're silent? Where are the presidents of the universities? Where is gays for Druze? There's gays for Palestine, but none of that. No parades, no encampments, nothing. Why is everyone so darn silent when we're talking about 12 Israeli boys and girls? Is their blood less than others?
We have that video of what happened in Washington, D.C. We're looking at it right now, finally. These are protesters. They burn the American flag. They say they're pro-Palestinian. Other critics say they're pro-Hamas. Finally, Mr. Prime Minister, what is your message to these people who are on the streets of America, who protest that, but you don't see the protests for the dead Israelis?
If you protest only against Israel and you don't protest for the lives of Israeli children that were blown up yesterday by Hezbollah, you're not a human rights activist. You're a blatant anti-Israel and anti-Semite, and shame on you.
Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, thank you. Our hearts are with you and with your nation and the suffering people at this difficult time, as always. Former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. With us here on Fox News.